Growing up, I always wanted to make a difference. My name is Daisy, and I work as a marketing assistant in a busy office. I am 30 years old, and I have always been a creative person. I love drawing and writing stories in my spare time. My friends say I have a good heart. I care for others, but sometimes I doubt my own abilities. Even now, sitting at my desk, I feel a wave of anxiety rushing over me. The office is filled with noise. People talk on phones, and chairs squeak as colleagues move around. This sound is familiar, but today, it feels even louder. My desk is surrounded by bright posters, and pots of plants are on the windowsill. The sun shines through the window, but I cannot enjoy it right now. I have a big project due next week. My boss wants me to create a marketing plan for a new product. But I feel stuck and unsure of what to do. The tension in my chest grows. I wished for this job. It is a good opportunity, but it comes with a lot of pressure. I remember my first day at work. I was excited but nervous. Everyone seemed so confident and skilled. I felt like a small fish in a big ocean. Now, I have worked here for 2 years, but the feeling of being less than others stays with me. Today, I overheard my 2 colleagues talking about their projects. They sounded so sure of themselves. Jessica's plan is brilliant, John has great skills. When I hear them, I feel a mix of admiration and jealousy. I wish I could enjoy my work like them. I am afraid of failing, and that fear makes it hard to think clearly. As I sit at my desk, a flash of doubt enters my mind. What if my plan is not good enough? What if my boss dislikes it? These thoughts swirl in my head like a storm. My heart races. I take a deep breath and remind myself of my past successes. I helped create a successful strategy for an event last year. Everyone praised my work. That memory provides me with some comfort, but today feels different. To clear my mind, I take a short walk outside. The fresh air fills my lungs. I see some of my coworkers laughing and enjoying their coffee breaks. I want to feel that joy, too. I remember my love for drawing. It always helps me relax. Maybe I should take a few quiet moments to sketch my ideas. Each time I let my pencil flow, I feel my stress easing, and the creativity starts to come back. Slowly, I make my way back to my desk with a new goal. I will start my marketing plan with a simple idea. I want my boss to see my passion through my work. I will draft my thoughts and organize them on paper. This way, I can share my ideas clearly. I will not let fear hold me back. As I settle at my desk again, I remind myself of my strengths. I am creative, kind, and willing to learn. I may struggle with confidence, but now I feel a spark of determination. Today, I will give my best effort and take the first step toward achieving my goal. As I walked into the office that Monday morning, I could feel a different atmosphere. It was cooler and more tense. My colleagues were whispering, but as soon as I entered, they fell silent. I noticed James, a colleague known for his sharp words, giving me a cold look. He had always been a bit rough, but today felt worse. As I made my way to my desk, I hoped things would improve. I needed to keep my mind focused on my project. Our team meeting started at 9 a.m. I felt nervous. This was my chance to present my marketing plan. As I spoke, I caught James rolling his eyes. "Does Daisy really think this will work?" he said loudly, shaking his head. I felt my cheeks flush. I tried to ignore him and pushed on with my presentation. Ideas about the new product flowed from my heart, but his laughter echoed in my ears. It was hard to find my voice over his mocking tone. After the meeting, I heard whispers behind me in the break room. "Can you believe Daisy's plan? She is so clueless," James said to a few others. My stomach twisted into knots as I listened. I wanted to walk away, but I also felt angry. It felt like he was trying to make me doubt my ideas. James continued to pick on me over the next few days. He would often approach my desk and ask sarcastic questions. "Daisy, did you remember to use numbers in your plan? Or is it just colorful drawings?" he sneered one afternoon. His tone was harmful, not funny. I let out a nervous laugh, but inside, I felt crushed. I tried pushing my doubts away, but they crept back each time he spoke to me. In the office, I felt isolated. Jessica and John, my more confident colleagues, acted friendly with me but did not stand up to James. They looked uncomfortable when he insulted my work. To make matters worse, my boss did not seem to notice this behavior. I wanted to believe he was busy, but at times, he encouraged James with laughter. It felt like nobody saw how hard I was trying. This situation deepened my self-doubt. One afternoon, I was at my desk, staring at my computer screen. I wanted to rework my presentation, but the pressure twisted in my stomach. I felt paralyzed by fear and uncertainty. Just then, James approached again. "Daisy, don't you think you should ask for help? Maybe ask someone like me who knows what they're doing?" I felt like my heart sank. Suddenly, the pause turned into a storm inside me. I wanted to stand up for myself but felt frozen. What would I say? Would anyone support me? I felt like a tiny leaf in a hurricane of challenges. "No, I am fine," I replied quietly, turning back to my screen. Each moment made me less sure of myself, but deep down, I kept asking if things could change. Through all this, a small flame of hope flickered inside me. I wanted to build my confidence. I wanted to rise above these challenges and find my strength. Every evening, I spent time drawing and rewriting my ideas. It became my escape. I realized that I could express myself better when I was creative. So, with each passing day, I focused on my work, repeating to myself that every obstacle was a chance to grow. And I told myself that it was time to gather my courage to break free from this struggle. As the days went by, I began to feel the weight of the pressure around me. The small insults and unfair remarks from James slowly built up like a heavy backpack. I found it hard to smile, and my productivity started to drop. When I sat at my desk, my fingers felt heavy on the keyboard. The ideas that usually flowed freely now felt stuck behind a cloud of doubt. I worried constantly about what everyone thought of my work. One afternoon, I took my usual walk to clear my mind. The sun shone brightly, but it did not warm my heart. I watched the world around me, people smiling, chatting, and enjoying their lives. I couldn't help but think how different my experience felt. I felt alone. As I walked, all I could hear was James' laughter ringing in my ears. Each time I thought about presenting my ideas, I felt small and invisible. Back at my desk, I found it hard to focus. Every time my phone buzzed, I worried it was my boss giving me more tasks. I started avoiding social gatherings at work, fearing more comments from James. I convinced myself that staying quiet was safer. But with each day, I felt more like a shadow of myself. I looked in the mirror each morning and wondered who was staring back at me. One day, during lunch, I overheard James speaking to another colleague. "Daisy's ideas are so weak, she has no clue," he laughed. I felt that familiar knot in my stomach tightening. The words hit hard. Was I really that bad? I pushed my food away and left the break room. My heart sank. I had joined this company with dreams and goals, but now they felt far away. In the silence of my workspace, doubts flooded my mind. Maybe James is right. Maybe I do need to get better. But how can I improve if I feel this way? I questioned everything I did. I started thinking about quitting. Was it time to look for another job, somewhere I could feel good about myself? But leaving would mean more pressure that I wasn't prepared to face. That evening, I tried to draw my feelings. I grabbed my sketchbook and lost myself in dark lines and heavy shapes. Deep down, I wanted to fight back and show everyone my true talent. I wanted them to see the hard work I put in. Yet, in that moment, a part of me questioned if I could really do it. Maybe quitting was easier than standing up to bullying. I felt trapped between fighting and staying quiet. Was it worth it to speak up, or would it make things worse? As I filled the page with my thoughts, I realized I could not ignore how James made me feel. Therapeutic storytelling on paper may be one path to understanding my emotions. It could help me feel stronger. Slowly, I began to see that I wanted to find my voice again. Every night before sleeping, I repeated affirmations to myself in the dark. I am capable. I am willing to grow. I will not let doubt win. The next morning, I promised myself to take one small step toward healing. I might feel trapped now, but slowly, I would work to break free from these heavy chains. I desired to regain my confidence and build a brighter path for myself. I needed to focus on what I loved about my work, no matter the challenge in front of me. The day of the important presentation arrived, and my heart raced with worry. I had spent weeks preparing thoroughly, trying to organize my thoughts and ideas. This was my moment to show my skills, but the weight of my anxiety felt heavier than ever. As I walked into the conference room, I could see my boss and colleagues already seated. James sat there too, his smile cold and sharp. I took a deep breath, trying to calm my racing heart. As I started my presentation, I felt shaky but determined. I spoke about the product I believed in. I shared my ideas, but halfway through, I noticed James rolling his eyes. His mocking expression sent a jolt of fear through me. Deep down, I feared he might find a way to sabotage my effort. I pushed those thoughts away and continued, but with each passing moment, my voice felt softer, drowned out by negative thoughts. Just as I began to feel grounded, my laptop froze. Panic washed over me. No, not now, I whispered to myself. I clicked furiously, but the screen was stuck. In that moment of silence, James smirked and said, "Is this the best Daisy can do?" What a surprise. Laughter exploded from some of my colleagues. It felt like a fist that punched me in the gut. My biggest fear came true, and cold shame washed over me. I could feel my cheeks burning. I suddenly realized that this was more than technology failing. This was a moment that pushed me to my breaking point. My pulse raced wildly as I struggled to find words. "I am sorry," I managed to say, my voice trembling. "I can fix it." But before I could think of a way to recover, James jumped in. "Why even try? Just admit it, you're not worthy of this job." His words slashed through any last bit of confidence I had left. In that moment, something inside me began to shift. I felt the shame turn into a wave of raw emotion. I thought back to all the snide remarks, the laughter behind my back, and the fears I had ignored for too long. I struggled with self-doubt, but now I could feel a spark of anger bubbling beneath the surface. It was not anger at my failure, but anger at how others had treated me. Suddenly, I looked up at the group. "I deserve to be heard," I declared more forcefully than I expected. A ripple of surprise moved through the room, as silence replaced the laughter. Taking a deep breath, I continued, "Every time I present my ideas, I put my heart into this work. I won't let fear or jokes define my journey." For the first time, instead of hiding, I stood tall. The room felt charged with tension. This was my moment of decision. I could either back down and let fear control me or stand firm and change my situation. I could feel my heartbeat in my chest, but there was also a sense of clarity. I wouldn't let negativity quiet me anymore. I began to speak again about my plans, sounding more sure of myself. My thoughts poured out, and I felt a sense of power begin to grow. James sat quietly, his face twisted in disbelief. I realized that whether I failed or succeeded, would choose to stand strong. With each word, I embraced the hope that, finally, I was taking the first step toward freedom from the shadows. I could feel the tension giving way to a newfound sense of boldness. My internal struggle was turning into strength. No longer would I be a quietly overwhelmed part of the office. Now, I would fight for my voice and my work. After my sudden outburst, the room fell silent. I spoke my truth, but the victory felt fleeting. My boss's expression hardened, eyebrows knitted together as he looked at me. The applause I wanted never came. Instead, I felt the cold weight of judgment hanging in the air. My courage had surged for a moment, but now doubt flooded back in. "Please take a seat, Daisy," my boss finally said. His voice was serious. As I sat, my heart felt like a stone. I had spoken up, but now I feared I had crossed a line. Anxiety clawed at my insides, and I could feel my palms growing clammy. When he continued, the words stung sharply. "We do not tolerate such outbursts in this office." My stomach dropped. Silence filled the room again as I stared at the table. Each face looked away. I had wanted to be heard but felt more alone than ever. The looks in my colleagues' eyes danced between surprise and pity. James smirked slightly, and that feeling of being mocked returned. Anger came flooding back, but it mixed in with regret. I felt trapped by my emotions, wondering if I had ruined everything. As I ventured a glance at my boss, I saw disappointment etched across his face. I didn't try to speak again because I feared my voice would tremble. How had I gone from wanting to be confident to wishing I could just sink into the floor? My thoughts felt like loud whispers. Why did I speak up? Was it worth it? For the rest of the meeting, I tried to disappear. As the conversation turned back to the presentation, I wanted to vanish into the walls. Every acknowledgement felt like a burn on my skin. I thought I had fought for something real, but now, the weight on my chest felt suffocating. When the meeting ended, my colleagues walked away, and I felt the emptiness settle deep inside. I could hear my coworkers whispering behind me, but the words blended into a dull roar. I felt the walls closing in, as if the office itself was rejecting me. The small voice of self-doubt whispered, "Maybe you do not belong here." In the days that followed, I struggled even more. I would stare blankly at my computer, the worry consuming me. What if my boss decided to fire me? My heart raced with anxious thoughts. I started missing deadlines because I felt frozen in place. Fear wrapped its icy fingers around my heart, making each day feel longer than the last. The strain of the office weighed heavily on my mind. I would lay awake at night, playing the meeting over and over in my head. Each replay left me feeling smaller and more ashamed. I thought about leaving but wondered if running away made me weaker. Could I really walk away from my dreams? The choice felt paralyzing. Isolation seeped into every corner of my existence. Even when Jake or Jessica tried talking to me, the words felt distant. I wanted to connect but felt stuck in a cloud of despair. I missed my old self, the optimistic me who wanted to make a difference. Instead, I felt like a shadow of my former self with every passing day. I spent moments grappling with my options, considering taking the next step. Every day felt heavier than the last, filled with worry and hopelessness. All this turmoil filled my thoughts until I could hardly breathe. I longed for something to change, but I was lost within myself, afraid of what lay ahead. My heart begged for clarity, but darkness clouded my path forward. One gloomy evening, as I sat on my bed, I could not shake the weight of my thoughts. I felt small. I glanced at my sketchbook that lay open beside me, filled with my fears and worries. Instead of drawing, I had filled the pages with dark lines and messy scribbles. That night was different. A warmth filled my heart as a memory popped into my mind. It was a simple conversation I had with Jessica a few months ago. She had said, "Daisy, you bring creative life into this office." I had brushed off her words then. Now, they echoed in my mind, a soft call to action. I took a deep breath and sat up straight. I began searching for answers in my own heart. I realized then that I loved my work, not because it was always easy, but because it pushed me to grow. Each challenge was a chance to learn something new. And for the first time, I felt a small light of determination flicker in my chest. The next day, I decided to talk to Jessica. She was always kind, and I needed a friend who could help me think clearly. The sun shone brightly as I walked into the office, and I felt the urge to stretch my wings. When I found her at her desk, I took a deep breath. "Jessica, can we talk?" Upon hearing my voice, she looked up with eyes shining with concern. Once we were seated together, I began to share my struggles. I told her about James' actions and the weight they carried in my heart. Jessica listened without judging, her face softening with empathy. Then she said something that changed everything for me. "Daisy, you are strong even when it does not feel like it. Remember when you helped organize that big event? You did such a great job. People believe in you, even when you don't believe in yourself." Those words ignited something inside me, a desire to reclaim my confidence. As we discussed my fears, I felt pieces of hope stitched together in my heart. I understood that I did not have to fight this battle alone. I had support around me, if I allowed myself to see it. I realized I did not want my story to end with resentment or doubt. I wanted to claim my voice, not just for myself but for others who felt invisible like I did. After our conversation, I left the office with a sense of clarity. I thought about how I could approach my boss. I envisioned sharing my ideas confidently. I knew I might face negativity again, but this time, I would not let it crush my spirit. That evening, I grabbed my sketchbook again. This time, instead of dark lines, I drew dreams and hopes. I illustrated my future filled with bright colors and soft lines. I reminded myself that dreaming was the first step to making it real. The determination inside me blossomed like a flower breaking through concrete. I no longer wanted to drift in silence. I had something valuable to share. I felt the urge to rise above the fear of judgment. I was ready to take a stand and express my thoughts confidently. This moment of realization turned everything for me. The despair began to fade, replaced with the courage to act. Hope filled me as I prepared to show the office who Daisy really was. This time, I would face challenges head-on, and I wouldn't allow anyone, not even James, to steal my light. The world was waiting for my voice, and I was finally ready to share it. Falling action. The days after my conversation with Jessica felt like the dawn after a long night. I was filled with a new determination. I imagined the meeting with my boss, and I felt excitement bubbling inside me. I had a clear goal. I wanted to present my ideas once more and show my value. Every day, I worked harder on my marketing plan, polishing it until it shone. I saw each detail as a small part of my journey back to confidence. One morning, as I prepared for a team meeting, I felt those old feelings of fear creeping up again. What if I stumbled over my words? What if James laughed again? But then, I took a deep breath and reminded myself of the changes I had made. I was not the same Daisy who feared speaking up. I now saw myself as a proud person with something valuable to contribute. During the meeting, my heart pounded loudly in my chest. When my boss called on me, I stood tall. I shared my updated ideas and showed how they could benefit the company. I could feel James's eyes on me, but I did not let fear take control. Instead, I focused on my passion for my work. The more I spoke, the more I felt connected to my own voice. I realized that my ideas matter. When I finished, there was a moment of quiet. I noticed my colleagues nodding, their expressions filled with interest. Then my boss spoke. "Thank you, Daisy. This is a creative approach," he said. A wave of relief washed over me. It felt like the walls I had built around myself were beginning to crumble. I had taken that leap of faith, and I was met with respect and approval. As the days passed, things began to change around the office as well. I noticed a small shift in the behavior of my colleagues. They were more supportive and willing to listen. Jessica gave me a thumbs up during breaks, and even John congratulated me privately for my presentation. It made my heart swell. Encouragement was a powerful gift, and I finally felt it surrounding me. One afternoon, I sat down with James. I took a deep breath, feeling nervous but strong. As I faced him, I said, "I want to speak to you about comments made in the past." The surprise in his eyes was visible. "I am here to do my best work, and I hope we can support each other going forward." My voice didn't waver. I felt pride in myself for taking this step. Over the following weeks, I continued to grow. Challenges arrived, but now, I faced each one with courage. I began to see setbacks as stepping stones rather than barriers. Each day offered me lessons on how to improve and forge connections with my team. Whenever self-doubt dared to return, I reminded myself just how capable I was. The more I embraced my skills, the more resistance faded. I began finding joy in the little things at work, a successful teamwork project, laughter in breaks, and smiles from my colleagues. I realized I had transformed my mindset completely. With hard work and support, I had crossed over from despair to determination. The vibrant colors of my once muted dreams began to shine brightly. With every step forward, I knew I was not just climbing out of a dark place, I was building a pathway to new possibilities. I could feel my heart brimming with hope and strength. It felt powerful to know I had the control to change my story, facing each new day as an opportunity for greatness. I was redefining my story, fueling a fresh journey awash in light. Each day brought with it a new light and purpose. With my recent success in presenting my ideas, I felt stronger than before. However, I understood I needed to set clearer boundaries to protect my peace and self-respect at work. No longer would I let comments from James shake my confidence. I knew it was essential to address his behavior head-on while also building a foundation of respect. One morning, I arrived at the office with determination in my heart. I spotted James in the break room. He appeared relaxed, but I was ready to confront him. As I walked toward him, my palms were slightly sweaty, but I reminded myself of my strength. "James," I said firmly, but with control, "we need to talk." He looked up, surprised. "About what? Are you going to cry again?" He smirked, searching for weakness in my eyes. Instead of backing down, I said, "I want to address the remarks you have made. They hurt me and are not acceptable." My voice was calm, but I felt powerful. James opened his mouth to respond, "Oh, come on." But I continued. "Your words create a negative environment. We work together, so mutual respect is important." For a moment, he was silent, taken aback. I felt every heartbeat, a rush of adrenaline coursing through my veins. His reaction mattered, but I was determined to stand tall before him. In that instant, I found my voice. I was shaking but clear in my message. "We can work better if we support each other. I hope you understand." As I walked away, I felt a mix of fear and relief. What would happen next? But the feeling of taking control outweighed my concern. That afternoon, I shared my experience with Jessica during lunch. She cheered me on, her eyes wide with excitement. "Daisy, that's amazing. You took a powerful step." Her words lifted my spirit, and I felt renewed. She encouraged me to keep setting boundaries not only for myself but also for others who might feel intimidated by James. I knew it was crucial to create a dialogue around respect in our workplace. Feeling inspired, I decided to take a further step. I asked my boss for a private meeting to discuss workplace behavior. I sat across from him, and my heart raced as I spoke about needing a healthier environment. I expressed how James' comments affected morale and my ability to perform my best. As I detailed my concerns, my boss listened carefully. He took notes and nodded. "Thank you for speaking up, Daisy. It takes courage to bring these issues to light." His approval felt empowering. Our discussion about respect within the team set a precedent. I felt hopeful my voice was making a difference. In the days that followed, I saw a change in the atmosphere around the office. Some colleagues approached me, expressing gratitude for my actions. Many of us felt the same way. One coworker, Brian, said, "Thank you for being brave." It felt moving to know that my stand had inspired others. However, not all reactions were positive. I noticed James trying to push back, making snide remarks in meetings. But instead of feeling afraid, I met his attitude with confidence. Each time he made a comment, I merely redirected our discussions back to the work. I understood that change would not happen overnight. It would take time and persistence. As I showed my colleagues how to stand together against negativity, a sense of unity developed within our team. I had newfound clarity about my worth and capacity to lead conversations that mattered. The determination for change flowed through me as I set the tone for respect. I felt energized as I stepped forward, ready to create a culture that uplifted everyone amidst continued challenges. Each day was a step closer to a supportive space where our voices could thrive. I was not just surviving anymore, I was thriving, and together, we could transform our environment into something positive and empowering. As the weeks went by, I felt a change in the office. The air felt lighter, and it seemed as though we were all moving together to build a better environment. One day, as I was heading to my desk, I noticed something unexpected. A few coworkers were gathered near the break room, discussing a new project. I overheard them sharing ideas and supporting each other. It warmed my heart to see this positivity growing. Later, as I worked on a new marketing strategy for an upcoming campaign, I could feel the butterflies in my stomach. I wanted it to be perfect. I invited my desk neighbor, Nora, to review my ideas. We often chatted about life, but today I shared my fears. What if it's not good enough? I asked, biting my lip. Nora smiled gently and said, "You have great ideas, Daisy. I believe in you." Her encouragement sparked something inside me. The next day, I prepared for the big meeting. I gathered my notes and practiced my presentation until it felt just right. I wanted to share our marketing plan and highlight how our team's synergy improved the project's potential. As I stood in front of my colleagues and my boss, I felt a mix of excitement and anxiety, but I focused on sharing the strength of our team, speaking clearly and confidently about the new strategies we can implement. When I finished, I noticed James sitting in the back. I braced myself for a snarky comment. But instead, something wonderful happened. John, one of the quieter team members, spoke up first. "Daisy's ideas really connect with what our clients need. I think we should take her suggestions seriously." I felt a rush of gratitude for John. In that moment, he stood up for me in a way that told everyone I mattered. The positive energy around the room felt electric. As the discussion shifted to our plan, my colleagues shared their input and feedback. Everyone contributed ideas to build the campaign. There was no division, there was only cooperation. I realized that all my hard work and support I offered others brought us closer together. I took a deep breath and felt my anxiety fade. After the meeting, my boss approached me. "Great job today, Daisy. The team feels energized by your creativity. Keep driving these ideas forward." Those words ignited my spirit even more. I felt validated, and it showed me that my voice does matter. I made a small but important win that reshaped my perspective as they stay grounded, and together we progressed to better understand our work environment. With each small victory, I learned the importance of finding your allies and building a network for support and encouragement. Each time I felt uncertainty, I reminded myself of what I had accomplished and the people who stood with me. As I started shifting my mindset, I realized it was possible to take back control over my situation and emotions. Now, I think of how I can help others too. Creating a safer space for open conversation can uplift every team member. By showing compassion and support, I contribute to our book and workplace culture, brightening our team's future. With this new understanding, I can continue to empower myself and those around me. This was not merely a battle I fought, it was a journey toward building a foundation of growth, trust, and positivity. I felt hope and excitement fill my heart. I was ready for whatever came next. Each day was a chance to inspire, to share, and to grow collectively as a team. I had come a long way, and now, nothing could hold me back from achieving my goals and helping others thrive in our workplace. Together we would create change, step by step, day by day. Resolution. As I stood in the office one sunny afternoon, I felt a sense of calm wash over me. My transformation was clearer now than it had been before. The weeks of hard work, self-reflection, and support from my colleagues had led me to this moment. I knew that I had faced my fears and built a network around me, but I also recognized that there was still another step to take. During a team meeting, I shared our successes, celebrating how we worked together as a unit. I watched my colleagues' faces light up with enthusiasm. That feeling of connection made me realize how valuable a supportive environment could be. I could see the change in the office dynamic, and I wanted to be a part of this positivity long term. The co-workers I once viewed as mere acquaintances were becoming friends and allies in my journey. With each shared idea and renewed energy, I felt my confidence blossom. I was no longer intimidated by James or afraid of making mistakes. My voice mattered, and I wanted to use it to inspire others to speak up, too. Slowly, I began dreaming again. I saw myself moving into a role with greater responsibility where I could continue to help those around me. I wanted to build not just a career but a career that focused on leadership and compassion. However, change doesn't happen overnight. One morning, I found myself sitting at my desk deep in thought. A decision needed to be made, and my heart raced at the possibilities. Should I remain in this role, comfortable but potentially stagnant, or should I reach higher and pursue advancement within the company? I didn't want to slip back into the shadows. I wanted to challenge myself and lead by example. I thought about my boss, how he had responded to my ideas and supported me as I found my voice again. I remembered his encouragement during presentations and how he appreciated my creative input. I realized this office had the potential to be a place where I could grow and thrive, but only if I took action. I decided then to seek a discussion with him about my career goals. This was the first step toward crafting the future I truly wanted. When I approached my boss, I explained my aspirations and how they aligned with our team focus. I felt nervous but empowered. I want to take on more responsibility, I told him. I believe I can help shape the direction of our projects and inspire others along the way. His response surprised me. I'm glad you want to grow with us, Daisy. Let's talk about creating a pathway to get you there. Warmth spread through me. The support was exactly what I needed. Setting clear goals and taking action filled me with a fire I hadn't felt in a long time. I began to map out a plan for myself, a checklist of skills I wanted to develop and the methods I could use to improve. This goal became not just a task but a promise to myself. I wanted to nurture a work environment that celebrated every voice. I reminded myself that I had the power to shape my path. In the weeks that followed, I noticed a sense of stability and fulfillment. My determination rooted firmly in my heart. I focused on the positive relationships I had built and found peace in my daily routine. I learned that growth comes from respecting myself and others. As I moved toward my future goals, I felt excited instead of afraid. With a new sense of agency, I knew that I could contribute meaningfully wherever I worked. I had risen from the shadows of self-doubt, and now I danced in the light of possibility. I cherished this growth, and I recognized I was ready for anything that lay ahead. This journey had opened my eyes to what truly mattered: connection, support, and the courage to transform my circumstances. I was empowered, hopeful, and ready to claim my future. As I moved forward in my career, the future seemed bright. I could finally see a path ahead, filled with possibilities and opportunities. My conversations with my boss had opened up new avenues for me. Together, we outlined the steps I could take to gain more responsibility and develop my leadership skills. The more I wrote down my goals, the clearer my vision became. I could almost taste the success waiting for me at the end of the journey. With each passing week, I took small steps to grow. I sought out mentoring from my boss and attended workshops that improved my skills. I learned about effective communication, teamwork, and leadership strategies. The knowledge I gained was empowering. I began to feel more confident in my decisions, and I found myself speaking up more frequently in meetings. Each shared idea strengthened my resolve and motivated me to keep pushing forward. One day, while discussing campaign strategies, I presented a new concept for an upcoming project. To my surprise, my colleagues rallied behind me. That idea could really make an impact, Jessica exclaimed, and others nodded in agreement. I felt a surge of pride, knowing I had contributed something valuable to our team. The feeling was more than just validation, it was joyous to witness the support we all shared. Once, I had faced negativity and doubts, but now I was part of a thriving environment where collaboration reigned. Looking ahead, I imagined what my future roles might be. I wasn't just confined to being an assistant, I envisioned leading my own projects and mentoring others. This spark ignited dreams of rising higher within the company, setting my sights on a role where I could create and inspire change. I began visualizing myself speaking boldly in meetings, not just conveying ideas, but promoting the success of my team as a whole. Outside of work, I recognized how my improved mindset played a massive role in my personal life. I started practicing self-care and mindfulness, making time for activities I loved. Sketching became a cherished pastime again. Art allowed me to express my feelings freely. Practicing self-compassion also taught me that it's okay to have rough days. It was a journey, but I remained committed to maintaining my mental well-being, promoting balance in my daily life. In moments of doubt, I took the time to reflect on how far I had come. I learned that challenges wouldn't disappear, but I would be stronger. I could face negativity, turning it into lessons rather than obstacles. With deeper respect for myself and others, I felt like I could truly thrive in whatever space I occupied. One evening, as I sat, sketching my latest ideas for a potential project, I heard the familiar sounds of my colleagues laughing in the break room. Instead of feeling distant, I felt inspired. We were all growing together, shaping a healthier environment. It was a collaborative spirit that made facing future challenges much easier. As I closed my sketchbook that night, I affirmed to myself that I was capable and deserving of success. The journey brought valuable lessons in resilience. I realized success isn't about perfection, it's about overcoming fear, creating connections, and believing in myself. With fire in my heart and clarity in my mind, I looked forward to each day as a chance to make a difference.